We're rolling.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Nerdbuzzed!
Nerdbuzzed doesn't condone the consumption of alcohol by any persons under the age of 21. Please drink responsibly.
Yeah, it's out of tune, but who cares?
Nerdbuzzed, you're on Nerdbuzzed with Marcus and Jeremiah. You're on Nerdbuzzed, talking about beer, talking about nerd culture. You're on Nerdbuzzed. Marcus and Jeremiah, you're on Nerdbuzzed. Let's get Nerdbuzzed.
Let's do it. That was awesome.
All right. Real quick ditty.
I'm so flattered.
Real quick ditty. Well, thank you.
That was pretty good. You might hear that
All right.
again, people.
All right.
So, this is the first official after party of Nerdbuzzed. All the rules are out the window.
All right.
We're just going to do it. We're going to throw it
sounds
down.
Okay.
I feel like we got super nerdy on our show when you were on it, and it was awesome. But I feel like people, they want more from you, Van, and they want to know the musical side of Van.
All right.
And so I thought maybe we could dive into it a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah?
All right.
Are you down with that,
right.
Jeremiah?
Of course.
Always down. So, would you like to promote yourself a little bit?
Well,
like you need it.
Well, we'll have these days. I have a couple things going on. I have a record label called Strange Earth Records, and I have there you go. And we've done a bunch of records lately, and most are local Northwest bands, and I'll just show them real quick if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Please
so
do.
we have this band. This first one is Vaporland. So this is a band that is 2 members of Love Battery, which is an old Sub Pop band, 1 member of Tad, and 1 member of The Fluid, and we did this beautiful.
Which that is gorgeous, by the way.
It really is.
I love the marbled.
Marbled record. Which, because Jeremiah has a turntable and you don't like it.
Thanks.
This
Thanks
is
for telling
now
everybody out there.
yours.
Yeah.
Awesome. Dude, that is
And
beyond amazing.
then we have Valis, which is a band I had for years. And actually, it's interesting because this is super nerd. This album cover is done by the guy who did the first Dune book and several Arthur C. Clarke books. And I emailed him, and I found this painting he did. And I said, dude, can I use that painting? And he said, give me $300. And he wrote me back. he wrote me back in calligraphy. He's like 80. He wrote me back in calligraphy pen, like, thank you so much, Van. Da, 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 da. And we got this wonderful album cover. And then we did this cool colored vinyl. And this is interesting, though. So
That was translucent.
well, it is translucent. And so this is actually a brain cell from a mouse. A side cut brain cell from a mouse. And then on the other side, a map of the actual universe.
Mm-hmm.
Now, look at the similarities.
That is crazy.
It is really weird, dude. And I tripped out, and I was like, it has to be on the album. Okay, so we have that,
like
and
it.
then we
I like it.
have that's another one for you. Then we have Skullbot, Mega Farm. Skullbot's a Stanwood band.
Yes.
And they're playing around a lot, and amazing album. It's an EP. They're a little experimental, so if you go see them, remember it's gonna be a little crazed. So, okay, there you go. And my brother Gary Lee Connor, who was in Screaming Trees with me, he did this record called Ether Trippers, and he plays every instrument on it. And we have this pretty cool translucent thing again. And here's another one for you. And The last one, Screaming Trees, a few years ago. We found some tapes in a basement, and we decided to make a record out of it. And here it is, Screaming Trees, Last Words, which is our last ever record we did. And actually has a couple guests, like Peter Buck from R.E.M. plays on it and some other people. But it's a good record. I mean, we did it in 1998, but it didn't come out to 2011 because it was in a basement somewhere. And there's another one for you. Okay, so
See,
Jeremiah's
I'm
birthday.
I'm a big
presents.
fan of the like translucent blood red.
Yeah.
Too.
I like
cool.
that too. I
That's
like
super
that too.
cool. No, this
like
is
that too.
awesome.
And then, since you don't have a turntable, here's all the same ones on CD for you. So there
Thank
you
you.
go. All
Thank
right.
you. Thank
All
you.
right, no problem.
I don't want to have to
All
go to
right.
my dad's house to listen to them.
No, but if you do want the vinyl, just call me and I'll give them to you.
Right. Because
All
we're
right,
nerd
cool.
buddies for life. Can we say that?
Is there a nerd handshake? I don't know. So it should be like.
It's with the sound.
kinda
I'll
like-
add it later.
I thought maybe it'd be like some like uncomfortable thing where you're not sure
Yeah.
how to do it. You're not sure how to do it. Like,
Yeah.
can I do that? Okay. I know the stoner handshake, but that's
And we
about-
did that in our
we did.
30-minute
We did.
promo.
Yeah.
That was edited out. That'll be in the bonus promo later
Okay.
on.
Good.
The director's
Good.
cut.
All right.
Yeah, it'll get an R rating. If you
Good.
watched our previous show, you'll get it.
Right.
But yeah.
So all that stuff we just did, go to strangeearthrecords.com and you can buy all that stuff. And we
Totally.
got that out of the way. So now, what is your guys' problem? First of all? No, I'm just kidding. What do you want to talk about?
Can I
Where
really
do you want us
do.
to start on that one?
Yeah. I felt like our before the after party, the party. We'll just call it the party. This is the after party. We got to get into nerdy stuff.
Yeah.
But I think, which you're super nerdy, and I love you for it.
Well, thank
it's
you.
awesome.
Thank
We've
you.
totally bonded on this nerd level, and it's great. But I think a lot of people know you for the music nerd in you.
Yeah. and
More
I'm a
so.
huge nerd of the music as
Yes.
well. So
And I want to. You already talked about Screaming Trees,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Which me and Jeremiah were children of the '90s. I guess teenagers of the '90s.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
We were in
right.
high school in the '90s during some heyday of Screaming Trees.
Yeah.
Right? Am I
Yeah.
wrong? No.
That was
Right?
it. Yeah.
So
that
I
was
didn't.
it.
Unfortunately, I didn't actually have an album of your guys' in the '90s, but I did have you on some of my mixtapes. So
Because we were still in the era of mixtapes.
Maybe you could have saved up some money.
Yeah.
Album. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm actually in the same boat. As far as like owning a Screaming Trees album, but I did totally love singles, and I remember that going on, and so I've recently explored a bunch of Screaming Trees stuff, and I have to say, the journey from the first album, which is correct me if I'm wrong, Clairvoyance,
Yes. How do you
Right?
know that? Yes.
and the last album, at least before the one that you showed here, is Dust.
Yes.
Right?
You have done your research.
And,
yes.
From Clairvoyance to Dust, I have to say, I so love the journey. Like
It
from
was a
from
journey, yeah.
it's so clear to me that this is my interpretation. We haven't discussed this
No.
beforehand.
No, we have not.
But it's really clear to me that from Clairvoyance to Dust, there's this definite, distinct growth, probably individually in the band, but also as a band together, that happened.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's interesting you say that because
I loved it. That was one of my
I
favorite
mean, I
things.
started out the first album. I was like 17 or 18, and then we did so many records, and then the last one was. It cost $1 million. The first one cost $4,000. So I mean,
And you can hear that in it, which I love so much. That first album is so that's
Yeah.
Holly, co-producer.
I love it.
That first album, when I was listening to it, is so has more like that garage feel and that like
People used to call
garage
us a
band.
garage band.
Yeah,
people
which
call us-
one? It's way
yeah.
more like punk and like ska,
We
right?
loved, and I loved.
Raw. Can I say raw?
Yeah,
Is that a
it
good
was
way to
totally
describe
raw.
it?
It was totally raw. Yeah. Well, we all loved so many. That was the one thing about our band. All the four guys in it. If I made a mixtape, it would have Black Sabbath, Black Flag, Tom Jones, Buttle Surfers. It would have,
I love that you say that because I
Yeah.
heard that in some later stuff.
yeah,
I could totally
mean,
hear Butthole Surfers.
And actually, I got to be friends with a lot of those bands. I'm just saying, like later in life, but and anything like I just loved all music. You know, one of my favorite things is Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. You know, I mean, because I actually started on violin when I was like a little kid, and French horn and trumpet, and because my family, you either had to be a musician or a jock, and I couldn't handle the jock thing. So.
That was something I actually wanted to ask you. Like, what was it that turned you on to the music scene? Was it pressure? Was it pressure from your parents to you must play an instrument?
Well, yeah.
Like there's those parents family, like you're going to take piano lessons, right? Or you're going to learn to play this.
Kind of, but it was more like I wanted to because my grandparents. Okay, so my grandpa and grandma were the Center family. I'm a Connor, but their Center was their name, and they had a group where they would play Grange halls all over the Northwest and Idaho and Montana. It was Warren Center and his magic trumpet, and there's show bills I have and stuff. And so that was just a way of life. My mom was their kid. So my mom then was kind of a child prodigy and was a trumpet player and played all this music. And then his dad, Warren Center's dad, was in the Center Family Orchestra at the turn of the century, and they toured all around, the whole family. So it was just kind of like, that's what the family did.
Yeah.
Now, my dad was in the military, a state champion wrestler of Washington State, and a champion football player. So it was this clash, right? Like, but
does that add into the punk and the ska theme
bit,
a little
maybe,
bit? A little bit of angst build up there?
The reality was that my mom was in charge. So I ended up playing music. So I did play football for 1 year, and about halfway through, when the coach told me to run laps again, I just kept going. I just kept going home, and I played Atari and played guitar. So and that's what I did. So
I think, to be fair, though, if you're the guy on the sports team that the coach, if your job is to run laps, that's kind of a sign that maybe you should find a different team to play on.
They were hard on me, though, because, and every year after that, because my dad, a lot of the coaches were under my dad at Walla Walla, where my dad's from, and they're always like, Connor, you got to turn out this year. Because my dad was like the best player and the best everything in Walla Walla. So these guys were on my dad's team. And so every year they'd like beg me. I even got, some of them would let me TA in their classes and just sleep on the couch all day because my dad was such a big shot football player. And they try to get me to turn out, and I'd be like, no, I'm just playing music, thanks. You know, and video games and stuff. Read comic books, but, you know.
Yeah. All good stuff I can relate to.
Yes.
Yeah. And so you've played a variety of instruments.
Oh, yeah. I still play. I think, because my mom, my mom taught me a lot of things, but if you give me an instrument, like I just started learning banjo. Now I'm playing banjo. So, baby, don't bite me again. She bought me the
co-producer Holly.
Yeah. Okay. So,
an invaluable part of the show.
Yeah. Well, no, I love any instrument. Like, give me one. And
what's your favorite instrument? I was curious to ask you. What's your favorite one to play? I think
it's the bass guitar.
Nice.
Because it holds together a rock band. I mean, people don't even know what bass sounds. They have no idea, but you are the glue of a band, and you can change that band. Like, if you don't have a good bass player, I'm sorry, but you suck, basically.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like the unsung hero of the band, right?
It is.
I totally
kind of like
you.
the unsung.
Yeah.
I've always been, like in football, I played like right guard. Like, that's unsung here. You know, like nobody knows. I'm not the quarterback. I'm not the receiver. I'm not anything like that. I'm just, like in soccer, I was a fullback.
Yeah, that's
not
good. That's actually soccer. Yeah.
Not a good.
Yep.
Fullback. Not a star.
Nice.
Position.
Fullbacks unite.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
No, I mean, I've always wanted to be the. I don't like the spotlight, but But I'm doing this new record where I'm in the spotlight. So it's actually called Van Connor. And so,
Wow.
and I'm going to be the front man and the guitar player and everything. And pretty much just me. And
The
most
front
of the
man,
shows
the
I
back
do.
man, the side man.
I'm
the
everything.
shadow
I'm
man.
everything. And my friend, Dina Marie's helped me write songs. And we're going to go record next week. And it should be cool. We've been posting stuff on the internet. You might have seen it. Of some of our songs, but as we travel around, but so it's different because I'm not a front man. I'm not. I like to be in the background, but this time I guess I'm doing it.
You're in the foreground.
The foreground
Yeah.
sucks, but yeah, I'm there.
I did want to ask you what were your musical influences? Like, what were the bands that that motivated you along the way? Because I almost felt when I listened to
I
the
thought you were
Screaming
gonna ask
Tree
me about
stuff.
when I popped Neil Young's pool, but that was a different. Oh, don't say that.
That's
Okay,
a later
don't
show.
talk
That's a
about-
different
yeah,
show.
okay,
That's the
yeah.
after-party.
Okay. so-
Like when I was listening to
yeah.
the Screaming Tree stuff, I definitely noticed as I went through the albums, there's some distinct style differences that start to take place, and
Yeah.
you start to kind of go in different directions. But there's kind of this like underlining theme of different bands that I thought of, like from the get-go.
Tell me a couple.
The one that I really thought, okay, can I just jump into my favorite song?
Yeah.
My favorite all-time Screaming Tree song, and I really listened several times to these albums the past few weeks. And me and my dad listened to it in the shop. I made my dad listen to all these albums over and over
good.
for the past few weeks.
Can I get a free
And
bass? No. Just,
yeah, yeah. But we listened to that first album, Clairvoyance, and I kept telling him, I was like, this album it has such underlining themes of like these classic rock bands and stuff that I like, and one of them was the Doors. And I kept telling him, there's Doors in here, and I can hear it. And then we got later in the album, I believe it's a 12-track album, and track number 10. I want to make sure I call it
forever,
right.
was it?
No, it's track number 10 called Strange Out Here.
Yeah.
That song is hands down my favorite Screaming Trees
Really?
song.
Okay.
And it's so Doors. When we got to that song, I remember I told him, I was like, there it is. It's right in your face. That is that influence I could hear in some of the other songs that's in there, which I thought for me was really cool because it's so punk and it's so garage and raw. But then when that song came on, I had to ask you, like, where did that come from? Because it's such a weird song for the album.
Yeah, it is. But that one. So the lyrics themselves, if you hear the part, it says like the blood runs down 3rd Street. Well, it talks about sheep, slaughtering sheep or something. I mean, that's where we lived, and right next to the studio where we're recording, carcasses of 1,000,000 dead sheep were right there. I mean, we were outside hanging out having a cigarette, and there was a carcasses of 1,000,000 dead sheep, and then we went inside, and it was like, my brother came up with kind of the basics for it, but I just remember it was kind of a jam, really.
Oh yeah,
It just kind of happened.
it
so
felt
there's
like
really
it felt
no-
really just like organic. To
It
me.
was. It just
Yeah.
happened. And the first time it got sang was the last time it got sang. It was just
Really.
and played. One take.
I'm
That
really
was
glad to
one
hear that
take.
because I could hear that when I heard it.
Yeah,
I totally
there was
could.
no overdubs. It was just like right there, man. Like
I love the correct me if I'm wrong, but I love the lines in it when you're like, I can count my problems, and then you totally do the 1, 2, 3. Like that to me, when that happens in that song, I don't know. That's like when it brought it home for me, and I was like, it's so good. And then it goes into the the kind of the less singy lyrics and the more kind of almost like just spoken lyrics that are in it. It's like
right.
I was in love, man.
that's
I was
cool.
so was. That's
That
my
was a one
favorite
time,
song.
That was like a photograph. That
Yeah.
song's like a photograph. That happened. We didn't plan that song. We just were talking outside, and my brother started playing something, and he kind of had a little line here and there, and then the producer Steve Fisk, he just said go, and that was it. That was the song.
Yeah. Which is totally the
Which-
feeling I got from it. I'm so pleased to hear that is what
Cool,
it was.
man.
That's
Cool.
so cool. That's really, really cool. I love it.
And that happened a few times. That even happened on our later albums sometimes, like on Sweet Oblivion, our biggest hit album, there's a couple songs on there where we didn't have it even ready, and it was just like, go. I was like, boom, there's a song where it's like good enough. Because not good enough really, but that's the take that you can't get any better. They can't get better. That's it. Like, you know.
Yeah.
Because it happened that second, you know. And we always believed in that kind of like, if you could get it, it's heart and not mechanical, right? It's like, it's all about the heart of it, you know.
It's that passion
exactly
that's in it, right? And it's like, it's that raw, I keep coming back to the word raw, but it's the raw, organic, just passion that happens in the moment.
In the moment,
right?
Yeah, because you capture that moment, and if you go back and try to fix stuff and redo it to make it perfect, like a lot of bands do. I'm not ranking anybody, but I've heard bands.
Not anybody in particular.
No. But I've heard a lot of bands who do an album like that where it is raw and cool, and then they get some money, so they do the next one that's all thought out and, you know, that kind of thing. Dust, our last album was more thought out, but it was more like my brother and I's fantasy album where I
love that you say that. I love it.
We had a lot of money, and our singer wasn't around very much, so he and I just totally went crazy. And then we hired Ben Montench from Tom Petty the Heartbreakers to come and do all the keyboards. He did all these crazy, like, amazing, like, David Bowie type strings and stuff, like, and we hired people, and it was just him and I smoking cigars and, you know, eating tons of Thai food and just, you know, like, and barbecue and everything else. We used to go to, this is when I was like 350, right? So like we'd walk into a place together and they'd warn us. They'd be like, okay, now boys, this is a all-you-can-eat buffet, but don't get too crazy, you know, like that kind of thing. Like,
Except for you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the good thing was our producer and our engineer were both about 350, 400 too. So I'd be like, and we'd always come back to like, we hit that place hard. We hit that place hard. We took care of business. That place will never recover.
Yeah.
Like they're losing money. You know.
Nobody else will get that good of a deal on the buffet after you guys were there. The price went up. Yeah.
And then we're like, you know, putting chicken legs in the pocket, like, screws for later.
You know, I'm also really stoked that, because from what you just said, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like Dust was almost that passion project that you and your brother wanted to make.
Yeah, it was.
Right? And so you finally got to do it with
what?
Dust.
It was, yeah.
And I have to say, that's what I thought when I listened to it. And Dust is hands down my favorite album.
Well, great. Mine too, because it's the
that was something I wanted to ask you. What was your favorite album? And
I think it was Dust.
Nice.
And I because it was a passion project to me and Lee. It is.
Yeah.
And I think also it was the first time we had big hits in England. That was our biggest album in England. And when we went over there, that was our best tour we ever had because we decided, Lee and I said, okay, we're not going to have a bus. Because we always had a bus and we had these hotel rooms and all this stuff. So we were like, okay, you guys do what you want. Lee and I we had a driver and we had a station wagon. And he drove us to each show. Because England's small, dude.
So you had a driver that drove you around in a station wagon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure you didn't have a driver plus a station wagon.
No, we had a driver drove us to the station wagon. That's what we wanted. And then
that makes me feel like a kid
each
again.
show.
'Cause that's how my mom was my driver.
I know. That's kind of why I
okay.
like. We didn't have the way in the back where you could sit in the backwards.
Yeah, we didn't have the backward seat in ours.
Yeah, I wish I would have. They didn't offer that. But so he'd drive up, me and Lee. So England's really small, right? I mean, it's like Washington State plus a tiny bit of Oregon, right? So every time between shows, because in the past, it was always like you're in a bus, you go straight to the show, and you go to the hotel, and then it's like, well, you just crash out till the show, whatever. We're like, no. We're making a lot of money here. Let's do it our way. So we're like, we get a station wagon for me and Lee. You guys do whatever the hell you want. Get a truck for the gear, whatever. So we drive. On the way to the show, we'd be like, oh, Stonehenge. And we go to Stonehenge. Oh, Ringstone Round, like Avesbury. You know, you go to like, oh, there's an abbey, an ancient abbey. you go, oh, there's this ancient thing, ruins of something, and we just went to everything. We're always very submissive about stuff because we're nerds.
Yeah.
And
well, I'm sure it was overwhelming, like when it was going on, right? Like it's snowballing, and it's just like this weird thing you're thrown into.
I know, and I just kind of did what they told me. But that last tour, I just remember like we were both like, we did the album the way we wanted, and then we were like the tour. I was like, Lee, let's rent a station wagon.
I love that you
driver
and
have a driver. Yeah. We sat in the back seat, driver in a station wagon, and go to every crazy thing in it. Because we've been to England a million times, but we never got to see all these things.
Yeah.
So like, we'll just go. You guys go party, do whatever you want, and we're gonna see the sights.
I can't tell you how cool it is to me to hear that that's what it is. Because as I went through this journey from clairvoyance to dust, that's what I imagined. It totally cool, is. Because when I got to Dust, I thought, this album is what I felt like was in Screaming Trees the whole time, but never had a chance to come to the forefront. Yeah, I love Dust. I think still hands down, the Strange Out Here song.
Oh yeah,
that's my favorite.
That's
right?
old school. I know,
and I love it because it is so
natural.
Old school and raw. Right?
It only
just
happened one time.
Yeah,
we tried to play that song again, and we have, but it never was the same.
Oh, the song is so good.
It happened one time.
If you haven't heard that song, I tell you, that whole album is so worth that song.
It's now like $120, but
really,
we need to reissue it, I think.
Well, I can't compliment you enough on that song, and I loved one of my favorite things. We recently did an episode that was about music, and one of the things I kept talking about on it was I love the journey of finding a band and then listening to all their albums.
I love that too.
Because when you get to the end, if it's different than everything else you've heard, I love the growth that you hear in the band, right?
Or digression.
Or right? It can go either way, or repetition, right? Like it can be all of those things.
Well, that's one thing why I wasn't too sad about when we ended. I'm glad. I just wanted to say I'm glad that Dust was our last real record, because that was, to me, that was a good place to end.
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys went out on such a high note. At least for me personally,
I think so. Me too.
My personal journey through it.
Me too.
I love
that
it was the same kind of experience, because I think whenever you listen to music, music is something that is so easily misinterpreted, or maybe not even misinterpreted, but individually interpreted.
Yeah,
right?
everybody has a different view of whatever you're doing. Yeah,
and just I could hear that progression through all the albums, and I could hear it culminating to Dust. And when I heard that Dust album, to me it was like, this is what I've heard through every single album that I loved about every album, but here it all is in one place.
That's
it's like the buffet of Screaming Trees, right? It is.
I'm in love with you.
No, did I flatter you now?
No, you're just so right. That's exactly what me and my brother think. I mean,
I'm really glad to hear that. I didn't want to talk about your.
No,
this is one of these things that was, at least I get I don't want to speak for you, but I get the impression that it's this major point in your life and has this huge impact on your life. And I didn't want to come in here and just crap on it, right? But I wanted to be honest and tell you what I thought. I appreciate it. That it was what I was hearing.
You're totally right, man. Welcome back to Nerdbuzzed. I'm now the new host.
Yeah.
I've, the corporate people came and said that Marcus needs to step down. And I am the new host. I'm sorry. Corporate said... Dude.
The people spoke. Who am I to argue with the people?
Well, it's not quite the people, but...
We were talking about the Sweet Oblivion. That's the only thing that I really knew you from through high school, because that's what was popular back then.
That was our biggest out. That we sold more of that record than any record.
Yeah.
So,
And like I said, I have also listened to some of them since then, but I didn't get a chance to listen. And like Marcus did. Thanks for putting that
in the what?
In the Dropbox for us.
Yeah,
thanks. But,
it's all on me.
Now, did you download those for free, or did you pay?
No, I hope that you get some sort of a check because of all that. So I think that if you watch our podcast, I think that pays for your Sucker Punch rental.
Thank you.
It probably does, right?
No, I appreciate people actually buy our stuff as opposed to. And that reminds me, actually, I just got a text yesterday about It's the 25th anniversary or something of the album, so Sony is gonna re-release it on vinyl and I think CD and stuff, but with special liner notes for our drummer, and it's gonna be colored vinyl or something. So that'll be coming out soon, and I think it should happen soon because I need the money. So.
Nice.
I need to go fishing more. Okay, so.
Oh, I was just curious, like some of the bands you toured with and stuff.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is one crazy thing, and jeez Louise, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
So
We can reassemble.
I have, and this is one thing that's cool in my life. I was the biggest rock fan growing up, right? I got to meet so many of my heroes and hang out with them and become friends with some of them even. But we toured. I mean, sometimes we tour, but we'd play with bands. So it'd be like we'd tour our first probably 4 tours. What we did was, our first tour, we just had a friend who had a van. We went on the West Coast and back. And then the second tour, we got signed to this label called SST, which is known best for like Black Flag. Although we had like Sonic Youth, Dinosaur Jr. That band actually was kind of the East Coast, about the same level as us on the East Coast. In Europe, actually, they're bigger than us. But so we bought a van, and this is before that. We toured around the country. We had a booking agent who worked at our label. We got signed to a new label, and this is a little tiny label, and just bought a van for $1,000. I went out and bought. Just started driving, and we'd play anywhere. Some towns there'd be a record store. We'd go to the record store. Hey, you want us to play a little bit? Like, let me go play the show. And it was just like this constant. I was like 18, constant like sleeping on people's floors, Motel 6. Like, it just didn't matter. We just like full power, and we'd do like 40 shows in like 50 days. We'd scoop the whole states.
Nice.
And certain towns, we kind of automatically hit it off. Most towns, we didn't. People didn't know who they were. So we actually,
Where can I interject with a question?
Yeah.
Where was your favorite place to play?
Utah.
Really?
Salt Lake
Really?
City.
That's not what I expected to hear you say at all.
You know why?
I expected something like in
Craziest.
Europe.
No,
Because you
I'm not-
speak
I'm not talking
fondly
about
of
Europe.
that.
I'm not talking about
Okay.
Europe. That's next.
Okay.
So Utah, Salt Lake City, Utah. Oh my gosh, those people are crazed. Like you play there, and it's like, but it was basically you would go to Salt Lake City, the craziest women, the craziest men, the craziest. You go up on stage, be packed, and people are just psycho, man. Like, and then after the show, it's like crazed parties and just like total insanity, drugs, alcohol, everything. I mean, it's insane. In Utah, Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
I love that it's in Utah.
And,
In Salt Lake City.
which kind of makes sense to this Mormon girl I knew in high school. But they were crazy. I mean, and oh geez, I can't tell that story. But so basically,
after party.
yeah, after. No, actually, that's in the States. But then, I mean, actually, we first got big in Detroit and Boston, and those are, and a little bit in Minneapolis, and San Francisco, and down south. Man, it was rough down south. We played. Florida. So Florida, we did right away. It did pretty well. But then we got a call from this booking agency. They're like, "Hey, you want to go to Europe?" I'm like 19. I'm like, "Yeah." and basically, like, you probably break even on the tour. And we're like, yeah, okay. So like we all quit our jobs and then we hopped on a plane.
That's like the theme of your life at 18 or 19 is break even, right?
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like, whatever.
You get to go to
Like, that's a
Europe.
plus.
You're from
Yeah.
Ellensburg.
It doesn't
First of
cost
all,
me anything?
I never even I was such a hick. I probably didn't even know what Thai food was. I mean, I even never seen a prawn. I saw shrimps in a can. But I mean, I was so sheltered. I was just like, barely been out of Ellensburg. So next thing you know, we catch a flight. I'm in a hotel, fancy, crazy Art Deco, like everything's red and crazy, in Austria, in Vienna. I look out my hotel room window, and Vienna never got bombed by because the Germans annexed it and everything. So I'm looking out my window, white, look like castles or something, like just like down the street. Like I'm just like, what? And then I turn around and I go, what's this little refrigerator? So I open the fridge and it's full of booze. It's a mini bar, right? Mm-hmm. I didn't know what a mini bar was. I never seen one in my life. I had no idea. So I go to our drummer. We're sharing a room. I go, dude, the club must have put all this booze in here for us. And he's like, and we got no money, first of all.
So much for breaking even. Yeah.
I got no money on me. And so I had no idea. So we drank the entire, and ate all the chips and the food. And we drank
it's
everything.
So convenient. How can we turn it down?
Well, I thought it was from the club or something. Yeah. I thought it was free. It didn't say. I mean, of course, I couldn't read German or the Austrian version of German, but
and
next morning,
expensive.
Yeah. Das bist Dreckspots, which means you're a dirty sparrow, man. That's just a big insult in Germany. So we did the whole thing. Then I go down in the morning. Time to go, boys. I walk out, and this guy's screaming at our tour manager, who's Dutch, and he's standing there. He's just like, wow, wow, wow. Like they took all the mini bar. I think because probably my brother and our singer probably did the same thing. We don't know what the hell that was. Like, you owe like 8 million francs or something, or Deutschmarks, and we're just like, what? I remember my brother. He took a couple of German classes in school, so he's trying to like negotiate. But he's saying the wrong words, and everything. Like, it's like, oh man. But finally, our tour manager takes money out of like the account of the booking agent company and has to pay it, because he just keeps yelling at me like, you took all. I'm just like, fuck, I'm getting money, whatever, dude. And then I walk down the street. Now this is not going to be child safe. I'm gonna say.
It's all right. It's after party.
Okay,
lay it on us.
I'm gonna say it, dude. Okay. So I told you I didn't know anything about the world or anything. So there's a sex shop, right? Like Austria. Like you walk down the street, it's a sex shop. It's not like Lover's Package, man. It's like some serious
Which is now
shit.
just Lovers, because apparently package is too dirty. Have you noticed that? It's just Lovers now. So,
I think
to put everything in perspective,
notice, but
right?
I agree. So I look into the window of the sex shop. And there's a magazine called Scheissen Liebe. I don't know if you know what that means.
Yeah, I get it. I have a good idea. Yeah.
And on the cover, there is some stuff going on that I'd never seen. So I was just free. I mean, I was there. I was like 19. I was like, what? We go to the first show. Okay, so apparently there's no warm-up bands in this country. We have to play the whole time.
Get warmed up.
We have to play the whole time, like hours. We don't have to play 1 hour. And there's no other bands. So we're like, well, who's the other band? It's like, there are no other bands. It's like, okay, well, what?
Yeah, it is you.
How long do we have to play? You play for until you are
forever.
Until you are done.
Yeah,
until the crowd doesn't want. And it's just like, what? So we go up there, and this place, it looked like
no wonder techno's so popular there.
Yeah, because it won't die.
Exactly. No wonder techno's so popular there. Yeah. Just hit repeat and let it go.
I know.
All night, man. It's you. Bring one track and let it play.
It is. So I just remember going back there and time to play. So it was like the Cavern Club. You ever see the Cavern Club, like the Beatles just playing? It's like the stage is like, it's like underground kind of, and it's this white rock, and it goes back like this. But there's no way to get on stage except for through the crowd. So it's okay. We start playing and play. Hours go by. And they just, every time we stop, they're like, you will play more, like in some German words. I don't even know, but you will play more. So we can't get off the stage.
Well, and to be fair, German is hard to distinguish between, like, are they angry or are they happy, right?
They're always
like,
angry.
Yeah, like it's hard when you can't speak it.
Yeah.
You don't know.
When they're happy.
It's like, just play, guys. Keep playing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So finally, we had to just quit.
So because all this the European fame that ended up happening for you was pre your 90s success in the US,
right?
Was it really weird for you to come back to the US and all of a sudden now it's not sister and dog or grandma and whoever?
It's so separate. It's so different, and it was not like that. But when it did happen, I never thought it would happen here. When it did, I still remember this night. I was in Texas, and we were playing this guy named Mojo Nixon, and I think Firehose, which is the guys from the Minutemen, this other band. So it's this big place in Florida, this big kind of auditorium, and they came out. We were third on the lineup or something. So our manager comes in and she goes, "You guys sold 110,000 records this week."
Wow.
And I was just like, "What?" She goes, "You guys are having a hit record." And I was just like, "Well, fuck you." I'm sorry, but I'm just like, "Fuck, that is bull." Like, yeah, right. We all laughed, and she goes, "No, I'm serious. Like, you guys are. It's built. It's going like this.
Yeah,
and it's on the way." And I just said, I remember, no, Mark said, our singer said, "Just let us be at least a one-hit wonder." One-hit wonder, that's all I need. He was kidding. But I mean, that was the weirdest feeling. I still remember that night because I was like, because we never were trying to be like, we just did it, right? We just playing and playing and playing, because what else are you going to do? Like, go work at Blockbuster or something? I don't know. And so we just did it, and we thought and to tell you the truth, we were kind of punk rock, so it was kind of lame to be super famous.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Cobain,
I totally get it.
Like
yeah.
Cobain style. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, he would never even sign autographs. He'd just say, like, "Dude, why do you want my autograph? I'm the same as you."
Yeah.
He would not sign an autograph ever, Cobain. But, I mean, so we kind of had that attitude. But all of a sudden, like, Soundgarden got signed, and then we had the same manager, and she was like, "Well, you guys could be on a big label." I'm like, "Well, okay, we'll try it." And this is funny. I've never told you this before. So we're getting scoped out by all the big labels, right? So Atlantic Records comes and sees us, and they say, "We'll sign them if they fire one of the fat guys."
Wow.
Can you believe that? Serious? Totally 100% serious.
Wow.
So they wanted to kick me out or Lee out and get some skinny dude in there. Because one fat guy is too much already. But hey, we can take one. We can't take two fat guys.
Yeah.
And so that was like, go fuck yourself. And then we found a guy named Bob Pfeiffer. He actually was like, "What are you talking about? Two fat guys will sell it." What? Like, what are you talking about? Like, he's like, the fact that we're different,
Yeah.
than most bands. That's how he promoted us, and I think that's how we did well, because he was like, "Hey, you know, they're the anti-heroes. Like, they're like the ones who regular kids can relate to, and regular people, because you're not fake. You're like the real." Sweaty balls hanging out in the crowd.
Raw, right? Yeah.
Right. And just normal people. We were normal people. I mean, and we weren't good looking guys. We were just like playing music to play music, you know, and he promoted us like that, and I think that's why we did well in the 90s there.
I want to say thank you.
Yes.
Totally. From
Thanks
Nerdbuzzed.
to you guys, man.
It's been beyond awesome to have you on the show. Like I said before, I really feel like there's this nerd camaraderie
Yeah, and I think
that we have
I
found.
think we can work together more. I'd love to work together.
I
more,
would
you guys.
completely
That'd be
love that.
amazing.
I would love
Totally
it.
into it.
That's
Can we
true.
do one last time to all the nerds?
Yeah, you got to put the sound effect in there. Okay.
Through all the fuzz.
Through all the fuzz.
Bottoms up. Let's get
nerd
nerd
buzzed.
buzz.
Talking about beer, talking about nerd culture. You're on Nerdbuzzed. Marcus and Jeremiah, you're on Nerdbuzzed. get nerd buzzed.